Good morning. This is Tuesday, April the 18th, 2017. These are the CL trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. Early morning bite just before 8:30. Got a half hour before 9 o'clock. Talked a little bit about the trades or what I expect for today, and maybe give you a little bit of a pre-market snapshot. Of course, as soon as the market opens at 9 o'clock might kind of change things dramatically. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. Price had a really big range. I mean, we had this run up from the overnight and kind of prices turned over, and I talked about that yesterday. In fact, this area right around here, let me draw on this. So if you look at this area right here, we had this run up in this area. We had this area. You could argue that this was just from here was really just a range. And you heard me talk about yesterday that this from here, from the open, and the open was right at this area. This is 9 o'clock. And as a result, this was later on. This is I think this is 11:45. So this was we had really spent 2.5 hours or 2 hours, almost 3 hours yesterday from the opening to noon in a pretty tight range. And what I mean by tight range, we're looking at from a low of down here, which is about 52, let's call it 52.87, and the high, which was really near the open at 53.20. So really, by the time price really settled out, and let's take a half hour later, it was really a pretty tight range, maybe 20 ticks. And that was most of the day until toward the end of the day. And so then we had downward pressure this move took place in a relatively short period of time, and then this was the rest of the day. So market closed at 2:30 right at here, and so we really kind of came back and retested what the overnight low was. So it was really just a big range, a tighter range, a move up, and then of course retracement back to what the overnight low had been. Now let's talk about today. Today we have so if we have pricing, if we look at it from the perspective of the overnight, this is the overnight when price opened at 6 o'clock yesterday. Let me just do this. We had this prices turned down, so the high really is at 52.76. Low is 52.14. So now we're below the $53 mark, roughly. From the $53 of level of last week, we've got a lower price coming into this morning. If we have more volatility or more action coming into the market, you may look at maybe a retracement back to 53. So if you look at from here, this is already this is a first entry, pulls back. This is a second entry long right here. We have this stacking up there. We've got a break of this, what you would call a trend channel. It's a little bit lower. Would you go long at this area? Well, it's kind of early for me. It's 8:30. I want to see what the opening is going to reveal. Do I think that price is going to be heading back here, or are we going to continue to head down lower once that price opens? That's why today's opening, I think, is a little bit more critical than it has been in the last few days. And the reason I think that is in fact the case is because of the fact that we've had this, from yesterday, and let's talk it from the last, I don't know, let's call it the last 22 hours. Price has really kind of wound down, has been selling off. Now, granted, yesterday was on the tail end of the holiday, and so perhaps that's why there wasn't a lot of volume yesterday, as what we've kind of grown accustomed to, or especially and I'm not necessarily overall. We do have a number of transactions, but what I was really referring to is from 9 o'clock to noon. This area right here where price was pretty tight. Not a lot of volume considering this is the bulk of the regular trading hours is in this area right here. Now, we might have a continuation of that, and we might have a lower pricing heading back down lower, maybe retest and maybe heading back down to the 51.80, 51.50 area. If we have a measured move as what we had in the overnight, price does break through and we have follow through, that means that our targeting would be somewhere in the neighborhood of the 5165 area, if that's in fact the case. The other alternative, of course, is that if this is really the line in the sand and as we get closer to the open, we might have a retracement back up to higher areas. Either way, what is more realistic? If we look at from what has happened last week, and we take that into consideration for the last week, even going back to last Monday, we're getting fairly close to an area where we had that double bottoms to this area. Are we going to go higher, or are we going to have more of a retracement back to below that $50 mark? We'll wait and see. Again, the opening is so important. 9 o'clock is so important. Two choices: price is going higher, price is going lower, and we'll wait and see see if we have if I have a decent setup. And I think that price is right at that open. Sometimes what you'll have to recognize is that you have to wait maybe a half hour after the open to determine whether or not you're going to have support at either a low area or a higher area as we get closer. I think today is going to be a little more critical, waiting for the open. It's kind of indeterminate, considering that I would have expected that we would have probably stayed maybe a little bit closer to the $53 area, but now we've wound down to $52.20. And of course, the overnight low is $52.14. So now we're insulting the $52 area. And whether or not prices continue or not, we'll have to wait and see. Take a look at it. Next 25 minutes, I'm going to give it some thought, and then I'll see what I can do at the opening. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll come on later on, and we'll have a little bit. I'll have a little bit of discussion on what transpired and what played its way out as far as trading for today is concerned on the CL. This is Vance. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.